Hello you fine ladies and gentlemen, how are you all? I hope your day is going well. Today we have yet another loadout for Star Wars Battlefront, and this is the Master Chief loadout, for which I am quite excited. I certainly played my fair share of Halo and enjoyed it very much. It was always a great game to go back and play, whether non-stop for a whole weekend or even just half an hour. It was an amazing world to be immersed in with remarkable characters. One of, if not the most important character in Halo is of course Master Chief, the main protagonist and the character that you play as for the majority of the games. I've always found him such a compelling character, not only because of his immense badassery, but more so because he, despite the fact that he's an organism bred for war so to speak, is still very much human, and has that emotional and reflective side which makes him such an outstanding character. Not to mention the fact that he doesn't like taking off his helmet, which adds a sense of mystery. But enough of that, let's get into the loadout itself. Now, I am quite stuffed up right now, so my voice probably sounds a lot different than usual. I apologize for that, but without further ado, let's get into the loadout. Now, another reason why I'm excited for this is because it uses one of the new blasters introduced in the Death Star DLC, which is the Heavy Repeater, which has that really unique secondary fire ability where it fires a blast of energy that acts like a grenade. The rate of fire of this blaster as well as its appearance are quite similar to the classic assault rifle from Halo, which is why it's very fitting in this loadout. The secondary fire mode is also similar to something you might find in the Halo universe, so immersion wise the blaster fits in quite well. For our start cards, we're using the Scout Pistol to act as the Magnum from Halo, Master Chief's sidearm, and of course the Thermal Detonator as Master Chief, as well as other Spartan soldiers rely on grenades quite a bit. As our charge card, I went with the Scan Pulse, as it's very similar to Promethean Vision from Halo 4, and Master Chief's helmet has a lot of abilities that allow it to pinpoint and locate stuff, so it makes some sense. If you saw my latest video here on the channel about which trait card I think is the best after the Death Star update, I talked quite a bit about the Bodyguard trait, and that is exactly what we're using here. Master Chief relies a lot on his heavily armored suit to give him an edge, or most of the time even the odds, and that is what the Bodyguard trait specializes in, at rank 3 providing the player with a 50% bonus resistance to damage, which really comes in handy. I find the Bodyguard trait much more effective than the Berserker trait or Sharpshooter traits, which focus on increasing damage, because the Bodyguard trait can really make you a tank on the battlefield, both in a support role and offensive role, and blasters like the Heavy Repeater that this loadout uses still deal an impressive amount of damage, so bonus damage isn't really necessary at all. Now that we've covered all the specifications, let's get into some tips and tricks on how to use this loadout to its fullest potential. Now let's start off with the Heavy Repeater Blaster Rifle, which is a recent addition to the game. Unlike the AR or Assault Rifle from Halo 4, the Heavy Repeater is actually really effective at longer ranges, as the damage drop off is quite long. The high rate of fire of this blaster does make it hard to hit enemies at longer ranges though. Tap firing will definitely help with that. And despite the high rate of fire, this blaster can actually overpower most other blasters in the game at all 3 ranges, which means it's not only accurate and powerful, but extremely versatile. Adding to its versatility in a major way is the unique secondary fire mode, which is activated by aiming down sights with the blaster. This fire mode shoots a projectile of energy that acts like an impact grenade and is great for the Death Star maps, as it definitely caters to close quarters combat. Now this fire mode can be really useful if you overheat the blaster when firing, as you can switch to the secondary fire mode and use that as a last resort, and it works really well. Seeing as the star cards as well as the blaster are very versatile, it's not too necessary to stick to a certain type of engagement or game mode. However, I would highly suggest staying near cover at all times, as that can really come in handy, as a Scan Pulse will allow you to see your opponents through cover. The Thermal Detonator can be really useful to throw from behind cover, and the heavy repeater can be really useful if the other team tries to overrun your spot behind cover, as it is especially powerful at close range. So all in all, this is a really great loadout and great abilities, both versatile and powerful, so I definitely suggest trying it out. So that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this loadout. Again, more to come with the Death Star DLC and Battlefront in the near future, so stay tuned for that. If you wish to subscribe, feel more than welcome to, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.